Now to our top story for Wednesday morning. Rishi Sunak faces fresh backbench headaches today of his flagship Rwanda Bill, with around 40 Tory MPs planning various amendments which they say will strengthen the UK's immigration laws.
Well, it's after Labour tabled a vote in Parliament yesterday attempting to force the government to say how much it would cost to send each asylum seeker to Rwanda. In the studio with us, parliamentary sketch writer Quentin Letts.
I'm so excited. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
It's a bit over.
Another year,
now,
gosh.
No, we need to do this before we start.
What?
A bit of a stressful Christmas in the Letts household. Mrs. Letts, an organ player, was the way you had...
Organist. She's a church organist.
Church,
she's
you
very
had to do
busy.
all the cooking, man.
I did. I always do all the cooking, but I was particularly busy over Christmas.
So what was on the menu?
Well, we did chicken fricassee on Christmas Day itself, which is
Wow.
it's a bit of a relief. Don't have to eat so much. But of course, my Christmas pud, which I'd made early December, that was a flaming success.
OK, great.
You
All the
made
hot
your
brandy.
own Christmas pudding?
Of course, yeah. Do you not?
I don't even know what you're talking about, man.
Dear,
I think
dear.
cheese are
You know,
fantastic.
the Christmas pudding really is falling out of fashion. People don't like it. They say it's too heavy.
Oh, it's tremendous. Ours
Not
is still
yours.
going. Ours will still be going until March.
I like
You
cold
keep it.
Christmas pudding.
Yeah, but then you fry it up with brandy butter.
Do you?
Yeah, it's very slimming.
Brilliant. Well done, yes. We're all doing really well. We need that personal fitness.
As you can tell.
Slim things. Rishi Sunak's parliamentary
Good.
majority, slimmer.
like
Slim,
it.
yeah, very
And
good.
look, we've said, fresh revolt. This isn't really fresh, is it? Because we know that this group of Conservatives, 30, 40 of them, say the Rwanda plan that Rishi Sunak can't get through Parliament anyway so far, not tough enough. So therefore, he's got to try and appease them. How can he do that?
This is all part of the courtly pavan. A pavan was a dance in medieval days, and they would go through these very formal steps, and it's all part of the political dance.
With a high-stakes dance, the policy may never see the light of day.
It may, you know, I mean, these things are unknown. But you have to go through these sort of dances so that people can retain their dignity and keep a stance, and then that the lawyers at the far end of it and the court judges can feel that the whole process has been respectful of the law, which is the most important thing in the world, of course. And, I mean, who knows where it'll all end, but it is just it's like a tremendously complex
If you look at it, though, you describe it as complex. If you look at it in layman's terms, Quentin, you've got the One Nation Tories, which is central a little bit to the left, emboldened now by Lord Cameron of Chipping, wherever, who is a One Nation Tory, Damien Green, all that lot, who say, listen, human rights are important, the ECHR is important, we can't go anywhere near this, and he's obviously gone to them, don't worry, it'll be all right, I want your support. Then you've got 40 on the right, allegedly now led, but which I find interesting, generic. Suella Braverman's disappeared. It's generic. Who was saying it's not strong enough. We don't care about the ECHR. Let's move on. How do you marry that? Because my point was earlier, and I'd love your opinion, quite patently, when he made a deal with Suella Braverman, he must have known down the line he was on a sticky wicket. So being Prime Minister for 2 years was more important than sorting out the immigration problem.
Sticky wickets as well. Sticky wickets, and it's like an aeroplane coming into dance. And Genrick there, yes, he's very ambitious now. There's a quotation in one of the papers today. Myself and my colleagues, he says. Terrible English. Anyway, it should be my colleagues and I. But he's full of himself. These things will... It is all part, as I say, of a process, a parliamentary process, and you always get this sort of thing going on. I mean, heaven knows if they will ever get anyone off to Rwanda. If they do, it could be useful for them electorally, but it may then be too late.
But Quentin, why keep pursuing this policy, which seems well? We know the price tag is astronomical. Politically, there doesn't seem to be that much appetite for it. Labour have said they wouldn't support it. The public don't seem to be, gunning for Rwanda as a plan that much. The public, I think they think, well, we want a plan that works.
Well, your constituents
constituents
may not be letting you know that, but there are Conservative MPs who say that their constituents are really hot for this. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a politician.
But they'd be hot for it if it works, wouldn't they? Rather than having
But you don't know if it works
lengthy
until
legal
it
process.
actually happens,
Exactly.
do you?
So they're going to try and make it work.
The other thing is, we said this last hour, Rosie and I would say, Labour this was snuck out a few weeks ago. We'd also do processing in another country.
Yeah.
What actually is the Labour Party's plan?
Who knows?
Precisely,
I mean,
man.
they have. They're keeping their powder very, very dry.
They are.
If they even have any powder.
And that news actually about the Labour Party came out on Boxing Day, very quiet news day. So maybe they thought we don't really have to go much further there.
I'd love to know what they plan to do, but
their attitude at the moment is say nothing, even if we've got nothing to say. Because the Tories are just killing themselves.
Self-imploding. And the Tories are famous for that, aren't they, Quentin?
Oh yeah, they love boxing each other's ears. But there is an important principle here. If you are a judge, you're going to be very keen to see that the law is being. You don't want to see, if you're a judge, you don't want to see the law being steamrolled, and a government has to obey that. A government can't achieve anything that is illegal.
Well, I'm going to bring it on to our next story, and a story that's dominated, and quite rightly, and thank God ITV did the Mr. Bates against the post office. This appalling story.
The power of drama. Because...
Well, you know, we did this a year ago on JK Live with Nick Wallace, who's been behind this, and Lord Arbuthnot, and it's fantastic that it's now out there. 900 people, and I'm not interested in the money at the moment. I'm talking about people whose lives were blighted, Quentin, who went to their graves not able to prove their innocence, people who tried to take their lives, people who were ostracised in their communities. Yeah. Surely you talk about steamrolling. Cross-party, forget the House of Lords, they need to exonerate these people like that, don't they? Absolutely.
I would say so, you would say so, but there are senior lawyers, Dominic Grieve, do you remember him?
Oh, God.
Who's saying, well, you know, the dignity of the law and the processes of the law must be obeyed. I'd have thought it was an unanswerable case. But it was an unanswerable case.
I would not want to put those people through this again, would you?
It was an unanswerable case years ago. Yeah. But there is this inertia in the establishment, in the courts, in officialdom, in the civil service, in the ministries. I mean, it's just awful. The corporate sector is very bad. When you try to make a complaint, corporations don't believe you. You get onto a telephone tree. You can never speak to a human being. It is maddening. And this is what has happened to these poor people. They've been beating their heads against the wall.
But there is cross-party support. I mean, it would be a political win for everybody to get this sorted as soon as possible. Because
cross-party are guilty, aren't they? They did this thing exactly. Who's involved.
Exactly, and Sir Keir Starmer must be slightly sweaty around the gusset, I think.
And also, I'm going to call it out every chance I can. Where the hell is Sir Ed Davey, who's made a career out of asking both Labour and Tory MPs to fall on their swords? Haven't heard a word. He was the Post Office Minister, Quentin.
One of the few glimpses of humour in all this has been the comeuppance of Sir Archibald Davey, the most boring man in the world. And he's stepped on a plank. It's got him smacking in the chops. But what will happen next with this? Well, there is this inquiry going on at the moment, an official inquiry into this business. And the chief architect, the man, the tech guy who was behind these computers, is refusing to appear in front of the inquiry. It's a public inquiry, a properly set up public inquiry. And one of the prime witnesses is saying, no, I'm not going to go in front of that. It's outrageous.
I've got, this is just in, you've got it as well there. Kevin Hollinrake, who is Minister, has told Times Radio this morning, he said Fujitsu, which is the company that provided the software, should be held legally and financially responsible if the inquiry finds it culpable. If they can be held legally responsible or financially responsible, then they should be, because this has cost the taxpayer an awful lot of money, of course. And I don't think it's right that just the taxpayer picks up the tab for this, so there may be those questions to be answered down the road. And Rosie also talks about Ed Davey. I love this. Go on.
Kevin Hollinrake says, I think they've got to answer for themselves. I don't think it's my place to criticise them. Speaking of Ed Davey, they've got questions to answer. We've all got to ask serious questions of ourselves, whether we've done our job as effectively as we might. Part of the problem, Quentin, here is that the blame, lots of people want to point the finger, but many parties, many businesses, many people in government all share little pieces of responsibility. It's going to be very difficult to say, right, you're responsible, cough up. It's going to be lots of people.
Yeah. And it's quite, I mean, I find it all a bit rum. For years, some of us have been writing about this for years. I mean, I haven't been doing much, but I mean, I have done a couple of sketches over the last 10 years or so about this. And it was very difficult to get the politicians to react. It was very difficult, actually, to be honest, to get the public to get interested in it. And now that it's been turned into a drama, the power of drama.
Absolutely agree. We slag off television, and I wouldn't be standing full square in front of ITV, but the power that programme and what it's done to this whole story.
The concept of drama and telling stories through characters and a good actor or some good actors, it just shows, it drills into people's imagination much more than, I'm afraid, boring old journalism. Oh, I shouldn't say that, but I mean, it's the terrible truth.
There's been other situations where a drama being told has actually then captured the public's attention and therefore then put things to the top of the political agenda. And in this case, thank goodness it has.
Drama much truer often than fact.
Talking of drama, I mean, I did this earlier. You'd know more. You're a sketch writer. Govey turned up at Cabinet yesterday. Oh, look, they've been smacked to bits. Apparently, his official spokesman told this show this morning. I don't know if you've seen the pictures. Look.
Poor old chap.
I mean, I think he fell over.
He apparently fell over. It wasn't Oliver Dowden taking a swipe.
Oh, Sue Ella Berifman had a go at him in the corridors, perhaps. No, I'm sorry to see that. I mean, he's an old employee of mine. He used to work for me, Mr. Gove.
Did he?
A long time ago. He was quite a chubby, tweedy chap.
Chubby, tweedy chap.
He's always he's been slightly. He's like chameleon. Changes his look every year.
The thing about Gove as well is
I've always been chubby.
Yes, you can.
Haven't altered.
He's managed to. He must be the master of the dark arts as he's accused of, because he manages to repeatedly survive and repeatedly, as you quite rightly say, reinvent himself.
He's very skillful, clever, quick, got cop on. You know, quick cop on, as they say in Ireland.
And he worked for you. Did you promote him or what? Sack him?
No, he moved off and found someone better to work for. But he was jolly good. He was terribly personable.
Do you think he's doing a good job in housing?
I haven't a clue. I mean, I'm not clever enough to follow the ins and outs of the housing policy, but he's keeping his head down at the moment.
One thing yesterday that's massively important to our viewers and our listeners, you'll love this, is potholes, right?
Potholes, yeah.
Yeah, and this money, I mean, and Rosie made such a great point yesterday, the HS2 money that was going to be saved. None of it's going to be spent on potholes, but I would have thought election year, 40% rise in insurance claims on potholes, people being absolutely messed up, not bothered about the cyclists, only thinking of cars. Need to do something, don't they, the government?
I've just had to replace a coil spring.
On what?
On my old Vauxhall.
Oh.
Smoking old Vauxhall.
Why? What happened?
Went in a pothole.
Right.
That's what happens. You know, your suspension gets knackered.
Too big to drive around. Was it one impact or was it sustained?
Well, we don't know, but it was fractured. You couldn't.
Did you get that through insurance?
Failed its MOT.
But it would fail anyway. How old's the car?
It's old enough.
Is it? Chubby and tweedy, the old car.
Smoking old jalopy.
Yeah, jalopy. In terms of this year, Rosie's been saying earlier, and she's right, this year is election year, we would imagine.
It is.
And it's all
We're
about
all looking forward to that.
sound bites. How do you feel about the year coming up?
I'll be lucky to get through it.
Yes?
Professionally and mortally. But, you know, we can but take every day as it comes, Brian. How do you
see it all? Is it going to be complete and utter? Is Starmer going to walk into number 10, or is that light that's beginning to shine on him? Yesterday was criticised in The Sun for people that he defended as the head of the prosecution service, and obviously slightly mired, as others are, in terms of the post office scandal. Do you think it's a cakewalk for Sir Keir Starmer?
At the moment, Jeremy, it looks like a complete wipeout for the Tories.
Yeah.
But that might change. And I first of all watched Sir Keir Starmer's opening year address. It was stultifying. It was so boring. It was like being at a wake. There he is. He's 25 points ahead, and he was morose. And then I watched little Rishi Sunak giving his start of the year thing, and he's 25 points behind, and he was bursting full of cabbage. I mean, he was absolutely shining with optimism. I mean, completely delusional, probably. But, you know, you have to take your hat off to him. At least he's trying.
And there's many more months to come. Who knows what stories we're going to be covering?
And I tell you, in a couple of days, if suddenly Sir Keir Starmer's record over this post office thing starts looking a bit smelly, then, you know...
Well, I got a tat yesterday. Final thing I put to you. Quite rightly underlined, Boris Johnson, in charge of number 10, was culpable for what went on his watch. Yeah. You are the director of public prosecutions, right? And certain people are either not prosecuted or prosecuted, and you're the main man,
yes,
the light's going to shine on you, isn't it?
Gosh, you should be a High Court judge. You're very severe in this mood. You're quite right, though.
Take him down.
Quentin, thank you
Quentin.
so much. A pleasure to have you, as always.